watercolor grey mixing. That's what we're doing in this video. Welcome back to my channel. If we haven't met before, my name is Michelle, and on this channel you'll find all things watercolor, a little bit of mixed media, color mixing videos like this one. Please do consider subscribing. If you click the bell notification, you can get notified every time I have a new video for you. I make one free video a week here on YouTube with extra content on Saturdays for my Patreon subscribers. So welcome to my second video on mixing greys. So if you missed the first video, what I'll do is I'll put a link both in the description and I'll put a link up above in the information cards. If you're on certain devices, you'll be able to see that, but if not, you will find that other video in the description. They both stand alone, so you don't have to watch this one first or second or whatever. You can watch them in any order you like. But in the last video, what I did was I took tube paints and I swatched them, and we improved and adjusted them as well. In this video, we're going to make some greys from scratch. Really important to be able to mix your own greys, because sometimes tube greys can be a little bit harsh or not quite what you're looking for. So I want you to be able to expand your range of greys, and you can make a note of these recipes and you can swatch them along with me if you want to, and I think you're going to find it really useful. So in a second I'm going to point the camera downwards and we'll get started on making some new greys. So let's have a little chat about how to mix greys from scratch. Now basically grey is a combination of all three primary colours heavily onto the blue end of the spectrum. Now often it's said to people that they should mix greys from colour opposites, such as yellow and purple or blue and orange, and this does of course work. But if you consider blue and orange contains red and yellow, you're still going back to all three primary colours, and the problem sometimes with using something like an orange or a secondary colour that's got two colours in it already is that the amounts within those colours, the proportion of yellow to red, is fixed, so you can't adjust that as you can if you mix from the three primary colours. So we're going to do some of that secondary colour mix. I'm going to show you some other ways of mixing greys, but just remember that whenever you're doing a painting, if you have some blue and you put some yellow and some red in it, you can make a grey. Now when I say some yellow and some red, really ideally you want to be on the cool end of the spectrum, because that can easily go into brown. So as a little thing to remember, this is just sort of a bonus extra tip, this isn't particularly a colour. So if I take some blue for example, I've got a little bit of cobalt here, and then I'm going to put my yellow and red in, but rather than put sort of orangey reds in, what I'm going to do is put pink and lemon in, because these are the cooler of the primaries, and this will lead to the easiest way to make a grey. So there we are, a little bit of pink in there and a little bit of yellow, and you see how we start to get that grey, and you can push it in any direction that you want. So if you're ever making a painting and you need a grey, the first thing that you want to consider is, can you mix it from the primary colours you've already used within that painting? So for our first colour recipe, we're going to make a grey which is smooth and has a slightly pinkish quality. We're going to mix Venetian red with Prussian blue. So for our first grey, we're going to use Prussian blue. Now Prussian blue is a staining colour, which means that the grey that we get will be fairly smooth and not too granular. So we're going to mix this with Venetian red. So there's the Prussian blue, and I'll swatch the Venetian red for you. If you haven't got Venetian red, the one that would be closest to this would be something like a red oxide. So it's a red, but it goes towards the brown orange end of the spectrum, which means that it'll work very well with the blue and there won't be a danger of us getting brown. Now these are strong colours, so it's important to be careful, and this is the one time when I would suggest that you start with the blue, because grey is majority blue pigment, and if you start with a whole load of red you could end up having to add half a tube of blue just to get it back to grey. So I'm just going to start by popping in a little bit like that, and can you see straight away it starts to push it towards the grey. So I'll swatch this. Still rather blue, isn't it? Somewhat similar to a watered down Paynes grey, and I'm going to put a little bit more red in, and now we get something more like a traditional grey, but a little bit on the purple side. Really lovely grey option, this one, and actually quite a smooth colour too. Now technically this next mix should have been in part one, because really I'm just taking one grey and adjusting it, but this is such an important mix and it's one that I use all the time for making warm greys, light warm greys, things that you might find like concrete pathways and paving slabs. Really, really useful for all of these. It's also a mix that won't work with every brand of paint. I'm going to explain to you why and show you how to make it. It's really, really useful. This one is Paynes Grey and Raw Umber. So we're starting here with some Paynes Grey and we're going to add Raw Umber. Now the colours I'll be using here are by Talens Rembrandt, and the reason I'm telling you the brand is because this is a mix that doesn't always work without a bit of adjustment in all brands. Now the reason for this is that Paynes Grey has lots of blue pigment in, and we're going to be using Raw Umber. Now in some brands Raw Umber is very yellow based, so if you mix yellow with blue, what do you get? You get green. So in some brands this mix may go slightly green. Now it doesn't mean you can't use it, but all it means is that you're going to have to adjust it and pop a little bit of pink in just to counteract that green. So Raw Umber is a weak light brown. This is the Talens one, and it's just avoiding being yellow enough to push this mix into green, as you'll see in a minute when I mix them together. But as I said, with yellow in this and blue in this, in some brands this mix will get you green. If that happens, put something like a little touch of permanent rose in and you'll just knock the green back out of it. So let's start with our Paynes Grey again. Now this overall is a weak mix. It needs to be weak. We're mixing a light colour, and also if I go too dark with the Paynes Grey it will just overwhelm the Raw Umber, which is not a strong colour. So going to start with the Paynes Grey, not too strong, and then we're going to put our Raw Umber in. So I'm just going to mix like this, and what we get is a really lovely warm grey. Look at that, absolutely natural looking, not bad even for things like tree trunks, but particularly good for things like concrete and pathways and pavements. And we can make it go a little bit more to the grey end of the spectrum by putting a tiny bit more of the Paynes Grey in. There it is, just slightly less yellow. It's one of the mixes that I use most often, particularly, as I said, when I'm painting houses, landscapes, anywhere with a bit of concrete or a bit of pathway. Something like the path that runs down the side of a beach, anything like that's going to be absolutely useful for. And even for some natural things like rocks can also be a very useful mix. This next mix is incredibly granular. It almost separates on the paper. It looks really, really interesting and beautiful. Next up we have Burnt Umber and French Ultramarine. Now I think you're going to find this next mix really useful, and this is because the two colours I'm going to use are commonly found in beginners sets. So here we have Burnt Umber. There's nearly always Burnt Umber in a beginner's set. If you've got a dark brown, I almost guarantee that it is Burnt Umber. And we're going to use French Ultramarine, but ordinary ultramarine will work for this as well. So the Burnt Umber is by Talens Rembrandt and the French Ultramarine is from Jackman's Art Materials. Do remember there's a discount code in the description for paints from Jackman's. So let's pop those down there. As I said, you'll almost always have some form of ultramarine and some form of Burnt Umber in your box. And you can actually use this mix to make sepia as well. If you put mostly brown and a little bit of the blue, then you can get almost a sepia colour. If you haven't got sepia, that's a nice hack for you. However, we're going to mix a grey, so we're going to start with the blue. So we'll start with quite a weak mix and we'll swatch that first. Now, unlike the last colours, this one is going to be heavily granular. So when you want something with a bit of texture, this is a great one, and it almost separates on the paper. So you can get quite a dark grey with this. So it's a great mix for granite. It's also a great mix for things like the felt that you get on the rooftops of sheds and outbuildings and flat roofs. It's a great colour for that too. If I just show you the swatch that I made when I was mixing for this, I don't know if you can see how it's separated on the paper and you get these beautiful little blue and yellow granules in it. So a really, really pretty colour and a great one for when you want something with texture. Next up, we're going to make a really moody atmospheric grey. I have Indigo and Red Oxide. Can I just ask you, if you're enjoying this video and getting some value from it, could you please click the like button? YouTube rewards channels that get audience interaction, so if you like, share, subscribe, or even leave me a comment, YouTube will push this video out to more people. My channel will grow and I'll be able to make more free videos for you. So for our next mix, we're going to use one of my favourite colours, which is Red Oxide. This is a great colour. This is the Talens Rembrandt one. I think sometimes they call this, they tend to call this English red because it's a Dutch brand, but this is red oxide. And we're going to mix that with indigo. Now, if you don't have indigo, your closest one would be Prussian. Again, you may find that it goes into brown. If this happens, just put a little bit more blue in. You could even make a mix of the Prussian and the ultramarine just to knock that yellow out of the mix. So we're going to mix these together now, and again I'm going to start with the indigo like so. This is a much stronger grey that we're mixing now, so I don't mind going a little bit stronger with the indigo there, and then I'm going to put the red oxide in like this. Now if I go too far into the red, I could find that I end up with purple. So what we've got at the moment here is we've got a very blue grey, so let's swatch that one first. Look at that, really lovely colour, but still slightly into blue. I'm going to put a little bit more red in it and see if we can get it further towards the grey. And now we've got a much more traditional, strong, dark grey. As I said, if I went a little bit further with the red, I could push it almost into a dull purplish grey. But I think those two are really rather lovely and great. It's a great combination when you want a strong grey. Next up is another heavily granulating but really interesting grey. This one is burnt sienna and cobalt blue. So for this grey we're going to start with cobalt, and you can see it's quite similar to ultramarine. So if you don't have cobalt blue, you can use ultramarine for this, and to this we're going to add burnt sienna. Now burnt sienna is an earth colour, but again, like some of these other colours, it leans heavily into the red orange end of the spectrum. So mixed with this blue, it's going to make a nice grey. So cobalt blue granulates like ultramarine, though not quite as heavily. So this is going to be a grey that's going to be quite granular, and especially since we're using burnt sienna, an earth colour which also granulates. You can see this lovely bright orangey brown here. They're going to make a really, really colourful and interesting grey. So again, starting with the blue, and we're going to add the burnt sienna. Again, we'll start with quite a weak mix, and then we'll go stronger. So knowing as we do now that when you mix brown and blue you get grey, this gives you a hint as well of how you can cool down any browns that you have. So if you have a brown, like I was saying with the burnt umber, if you have a brown that's a bit too warm and you don't have a cool brown, you can do this hack whereby you add blue, and the blue that you want to add is generally speaking one of the purple leaning blues such as cobalt or ultramarine. So I'm going to mix that colour a little bit stronger now. And again, we're getting this really interesting granular grey. And as I said, as it dries, it will tend to separate out. So another one that's good for anything with texture, including things like rocks. So these have just been a few ways of making grey. Of course, there are lots of others. Do let me know in the comments if you have any of your own favourite recipes. I'd be really interested to read those. If you missed part 1 of this video, I'll link it in the description below. In the meantime, you can watch another one of my colour mixing videos right here.